What's going on, guys? It's David Piatek and Dwayne Kimball. Today we have an awesome show for you guys. It's kind of a show. It's a Q&A and a show. We're going to be talking about a couple of things around housing, and also if you have any questions about VA disability, drop them down in the comment section. So the main thing we're going to be covering today is going to be the impact of interest rates and loan costs on today's home buying experience, because we're going into the summer. We're going to also cover a shocking update from the VA about, in regards to the National Association of Realtors lawsuit, which I think you guys are going to be kind of taking back how they're doing the stance. We're going to talk about how to be competitive in today's market, and also what are the steps in home buying. Dwayne and I were recently talking. He was, thinking about how do I invest with my VA loan? How do we gain more properties? And we're like, well, let's put another event together to kind of talk about that and how to be successful with it.
Oh yeah, so I think it's awesome because, like you said, we were just talking, and I'm like, how do you do this? How do you do that? And I know a lot of veterans have questions because I'd seen where we've events we've done in the past, live streams that we've done, and they come back and they'll leave a comment and they'll say, hey, what about this or what about that? And this is the place to be to get those questions answered: VA home loans and VA compensation. So let's go ahead and get into it, David.
Yeah, definitely goes hand in hand. So I'm going to show up a shout out from Annette from AZ. Thank you for watching with us. We got another shout out for that. And then let me first cover the first subject, and we'll kind of start going into some of the questions, right? So I think one of the things right now that people are scared of, and we talk a lot about, is where the interest rate and the cost of home ownership is going up significantly. And I'll tell you guys right now that from the housing rate perspective, things have somewhat stabilized. We don't really see rates going below between the 6 and 7 mark, go below that or higher right now. And Dwayne, the thing is, a lot of times people are like, I'm waiting for rates to drop. Well, when rates drop, what happens? Home values go up, right? We've been there before. And two, the challenge is that I saw a recent report from I think it was Freddie Mac, that the cost of originating mortgages also has gone up over 35%, right? Good mortgage company, it costs them about $6,900 to originate a mortgage versus the bottom 25, which is a shocking $16,500. So almost, just shy of 10,000 more. And one thing we always talk about is when you see flashy marketing, you pay for that marketing, right? We do stuff like this because we're doing it on YouTube. We're not spending hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to market to you on on social media and all these other places, because you want information, so you kind of come here to be able to get that. And one thing that goes in line with your VA disability and housing is that you also don't pay property taxes in certain jurisdictions if you meet a certain rating criteria. I talk about it all the time, and I talk with clients. I'm like, you need to get up off your butt, talk to somebody, and try to get either something increased. And too often time, I don't know about you, Dwayne, but I'll talk with veterans of like, there's nothing wrong with me. And I've mentioned this before, like twice Purple Heart gentleman was like, I'm good, there's nothing wrong. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know what your take on that is.
You know, I talk to a lot of widows, and
Mm.
they'll say, Dwayne, my husband passed, and someone said I'm entitled to some benefits. So first thing I asked was, he's service connected. What do you mean? That's the first part. That's the first thing that is wrong, because they're not educated. And I'll explain that to them. They be like, no, but he was in Vietnam. He had prostate cancer. He actually died from prostate cancer. He had diabetes. He was hard of hearing. So these are things that that particular veteran could have got service connected for. If he would have got service connected when he passed away, then his spouse would have been entitled to DIC. So it's something wrong, but I just think it goes back to the military, where we are programmed not to go to sick call. We just suck it up, and when we get out, it's like Rambo said, you just can't turn it off, so you go through life just sucking it up and sucking it up. And I think it gets to the point to where we're at right now. There's nothing wrong with me. In actuality, it is. If you got ringing in the ear, some minor is dead.
Right.
So I think, we're programmed that way
That's
until
all.
somebody, get our butt about it and say, hey, you need to get service connected for these conditions, or start using some of your VA benefits in some form or fashion.
Yeah, for sure. And it's still like with VA home loans too. People don't know all their benefits. A lot of people still think that you can use it only once. But Dwayne, we got a question for you.
Mhm. Hey guys, for Texas question: if they have me as terror exposure on my list of disability with no connection, could I possibly put in a claim for PAC that? Okay, so Dito girl, where are you seeing this at? The way it works is when you file a claim, and you'll see duty to assist errors on high level review. So when you file a claim, let's just say for migraines, and you file it due to Gulf War undiagnosed illness presumptive, okay, Gulf War presumptive, and they go out, and this is a trend that VA employee requests that exam, and they say the doctor says no, gives a negative opinion, but they don't ask about terror. Then you file an appeal, and the decision review officer says, oh, they didn't take issue with terror. So they go back, get an opinion on the terror to see if you can get service connected. So I'm curious, where are you seeing this at? Is terror exposed? I'm assuming you got denied, and that information is in there.
That's awesome. Thank you. We'll go to the next question.
Thank you for all the awesome knowledge you put out. Appreciate it. Filed my claim 19 months ago using your platform as my launching pad. Last week,
Yeah,
received notice letter granted IU. That's hey, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to
that's
hear.
awesome.
And guess what? He's not even a client, and he just watched the videos and got it. IU at
Yeah,
that, which is IU is a little difficult in my opinion. But hey, again, I got over 450 videos on my channel and include live streams that Dave and I do, and some I do individually. And you won. You invested the time. There it is. Congrats.
that's awesome. Yeah, that's again how we met when I was doing research online and how to do the VA disability. So, I'm Army vet as well. So it's like, yeah. So this is what works, right? It's the network, it's the information that
Yeah.
empowers you to be able to do that. Which kind of leads me into my second point I wanted to make with you guys about some updates from the National Association of the Realtor lawsuit. Like you mentioned before, prior to actually like here soon, is that veterans wouldn't be able to pay realtors a buyer's commission because the VA didn't allow for it unless a seller paid for it, right? So last Tuesday, they came out and announced that by the 12th, there will be some type of temporary lift on that ban, so buyers will be able to pay realtors commission. And Dwayne, you and I talked about that last week when it happened. I'm like, man, can you believe this?
Mhm.
When we look at the cost of homeownership, mortgage costs are up, home prices are at like an all-time high, and no, I really don't see a bubble coming. Uh, Maybe there may be a shift with this commission thing. It might shift to a buyer's agent perspective. And that's something you guys kind of keep in mind. But that cost is going up significantly. And we're working on a course to be able to help veterans to do that on their own. So, let me know what you guys think about that between Dwayne and I in the comments. Would you guys be, wanting to sign up for a course to be able to help you buy real estate on your own and not pay 2 or 3% extra in a transaction? So, yeah, I
So
think it's
Dave,
kind of
just
crazy.
real quick, when you say a course, they're not watching a video. They're going to sign up for a course where they're going to watch some videos in this course,
Yep.
but then they could potentially have access to somebody that knows what they're talking about, like one
Right.
on one. You're not in a group. You could say, okay, hey, I want to sign up. And then they maybe get an hour or two every month, one on
Right.
one. Hey, I'm here in this process. What do I do next? And you give them information. Is that
Of course. Yep, that's what we're looking at.
what?
So it's more because it's tough, right? Out there. It's like same thing like when you do the disabilities. Like I can read all I want, but if I can't talk to somebody like you need experience to put it together, right?
Right.
It's like just like life development. It's like being in the military. You don't jump in day one, finish basic training. You're like, I am ready to do my job, right? You still do basic. You go through AIT, then you go through different ranks when you learn different things. So that's like the same concept here. Is we want to be able to educate people on that process.
Right. That's awesome.
So, but good. Let's jump into the next question. I know you're excited about this one. So, when are these new changes coming?
I was just looking at the on their website, the news. Um, Q Hut, where are you seeing it? I like to know where you see it. Now, I know Dave and I were just talking about that. I saw the question right before we went live. They came out with proposed changes 2 years ago, about 2 years ago. I haven't seen anything that says, hey, these new proposed changes are going into effect. You say June 2024. Hut, please let me know, where are you seeing this? Okay. I've heard of videos out there that are clickbait to get people to watch these videos. But if it goes live, or if I see anything, I will immediately do a video and do a follow-up video when it goes live and explaining it. Okay. I've done a video. I did a video, it's 2 years old, in these proposed changes, and I left my feedback. So definitely go to the channel. But I'll continue to look through the comment section, G Hut, because I want to know where you saw it. I want to see it. Okay.
Yeah. And that's something like we talked about also when we did our 12-hour live event. So when we could talk all day about this stuff, we proved that we can. But we also had something where someone's like, oh, an extra $3,600 for veterans. And we
Yeah.
ended up
Yeah.
finding out that it was like a clickbait thing. So, yeah, to your point, like I look at the stuff too. And I'm a sucker too sometimes for this because it's not my space. I'm like, Dwayne, is this real? They're like, no, no, it's just more clickbait. And I'm like, I got caught up
Yeah.
on that. So, so thank you for that. Now, the next one question is for me. Can you tell me the advantages of using your VA home loan services as opposed to using such as KB Homes mortgage lender? So
Oh.
it's going to depend on the experience that you're looking for, right? I don't even know how to like explain. When we do consultations with people, you get the brutal truth and honesty from us, and we always look out for your best interest, right? Even if you come to me, and Dwayne, you can vouch on this, is that if you come to me, you have a situation, and if there's a better option than working with me, we'll tell you to go down that route, right? Especially if you're trying to get creative, you're trying to figure out what you want to do. I can walk you through that. So most people that work with us is they want someone that can solve problems. Cuz every transaction, no matter how you look at it, is going to have a hiccup. Again, no matter how perfect it may seem, but it's the experience that is going to help fix those problems and get to you to be a homeowner. I mean, we experience it every day. And I know because we fix a lot of other people's loans that are like a week away from closing that get denied, and we'll be like, no, they did it incorrectly. This is how it should be done. And so we've actually helped a lot of people just from doing videos like this that have been caught in those situations. So thank you, Dwayne, for having me on here and being able to just expose veterans to that.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank you for doing what you do, because I'm going through something right now, and guess what I did? I reached out to David, and he was like, "Hey, send me over what they send you." I sent it over, and he was like, "Hey, go with it. It's a better
Yeah.
deal. Do it." You know,
Yep.
and that's some things I tell clients, because veterans, they'll call me and they'll say, "Hey, I want to do claim an increase of this. I want to claim," and I'm like, you know what? That's something that you can do yourself. Watch this video that I did, and I'm telling you how to win it. Watch it, and some of them do it, and then some say, no, I'm tired of the VA, and I need you to educate me, and we move forward. And we're the same way. It's just, if it's something that we feel the veteran can do, and it's just like super easy, we'll explain to them. If we got to spend 30, 40 minutes on the phone explaining to them the process, then they go do it, we're perfectly fine with it, as long as they
That's
get service
awesome.
connected.
Right. So next question is for you.
Hello, could you explain what MST marker positive conceited means? Woo, awesome question. Hey, talk about it in my book, and I have a video on my channel. You go to my channel, type in PTSD/MST, it'll come up. But when you claim PTSD, you need a stressor. Okay. Now, as it pertains to military sexual trauma, the threshold is not that high for that stressor. It could be something, if you reported it, then more likely it's documented. But markers come into play when it's not reported. An example, let's just say you're on active duty and you told a sibling that you were sexually harassed or sexually assaulted. They write a statement, that's a marker. Also, let's say that you received an Article 15 2 months after you stated that incident happened. That could be a marker. If you receive some type of treatment for that sexual assault, even though you didn't report it, you can ask the VA to use that as a positive marker. And again, you have to know what you're doing. I talk about it in my book, Markers, but also if you don't want to purchase the book, you can watch the video on YouTube for free on my channel. Now, as a former VA Raider trained by the VA, we went through extensive training in a lot of different scenarios as it pertains to markers. Okay. But that's just the skinny of it. Short version.
That's awesome. Yeah, that was a short version. Thank you. And if you guys want, here's my channel, VA Housing Education. Check it out to get more info. Kind of, especially like, it's never too early to start the process. We had somebody not too long ago we talked to. They were like, "Hey, I'm a year out." Well, that's the perfect time, because what happens if you're like, I want to buy a house today? That's like me calling Dwayne, like, Dwayne, I need to file my VA disability today. What paperwork do you have? Well, I mean, that's why I'm calling you, because I need to file today. Like, what? And that's no joke. It happens more often than you not. Like on a Saturday at 8 p.m., they're like, I want to make an offer on a house right now. But it's Saturday, 8 p.m. Like, do you have all your documents? Well, no, I don't, but you
Yeah.
know, it's definitely a process
I
for
think when I
that.
called you and had questions, you were driving somewhere. You were what, North Carolina or
Oh
West
yeah,
Virginia? I was
I was
like,
all over the place the other week, but yeah, but I'm always working, because I'm always like, yeah, especially when it comes to that strategy of when do you start. It's as early as possible, which I'll kind of go through. I can actually go through some of this. One of the steps of home buying, right, is like everyone needs to understand their financial budget. Not the lender telling you, but you yourself. Like, what are you comfortable with? Because trust me, you can get a lot more money than you think from the VA on a VA home loan. People are like, how much can I buy? And I'm like, we were targeting much lower. But then it kind of opens up that, like, oh, I can afford more. Let me buy more. That shouldn't be the case, because you want to control how much you spend by creating a budget and sticking to it. And I did a recent video on just 100% disability. Okay, Dwayne?
yeah, yep, I saw that.
You can buy $1 million multifamily and live for free just on 100% disability.
What you talking
And
about,
it,
David?
yeah, I know, right? Yeah, right. And the reason why you can do that is if you can control your liabilities, which is controlling your spending. Budgeting helps you with your credit to make your payments on time. So good credit, low liabilities, and we see a ton of veterans do this. They buy multifamilies that are up to 4 units and they live for free. They're able to save money, and so that's going to be your first step. Is you got to realize it's what you want to do
Yeah.
in that process. Then it's pre-approval, which we can help you with. We definitely go through that process. And then it goes into like understanding your needs and wants. It's like, the good examples, like, can you eat mac and cheese, or do you need like a 10-ounce, Wagyu filet with a lobster tail, right? You're going to have
Well,
to
but this is the
figure
thing,
that.
Dave. You can still have that and
Yeah.
achieve the goal. This is how I'm in a travel mastery class and I'm in a tax strategist class,
Yep.
learning tax strategy. So the gentleman, he has a YouTube channel. He was saying how and when to use your points for travel and when not to use your points for travel. When is a good deal? Because obviously, if you're going to, let's say, from here to Dubai
No.
and business class tickets, if you got 300,000 points, That's a pretty good deal. But if you're going from, let's say, Chicago to St. Louis and they want 300,000 points, that's not a good deal. Now, my credit union and some other banks do this, especially credit unions. They link your credit card points to Walmart. So when I go to Walmart and use my credit card for my credit union and the bill is $50, it'll say, hey, do you want to use 10,000 or
Oh
5,000
yeah.
reward points? Right. So I was like, oh, snap. So I called my bank. I said, hey, where else do you all use this? Oh, we use it here, 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 and here. So I haven't used my debit card. I used it last month. Before then, it was probably 3 years because you don't
Yeah.
get points on the debit card. You get points on the credit card. So I use the credit card like the debit card. Every Friday, I pay that amount off. I don't
Yep.
leave anything on there, just that discipline. So now, instead of using your W 2 income to maybe pay for $100 of groceries, you got these points saved up, right? That you can go to Walmart or maybe some other establishments that's connected to those reward points and use them instead of paying out of your pocket. So I do that, with travel. I'm, getting reward points, and I'll say, okay, we're going to put 100,000 points to this ticket, and it might be a free ticket, round trip from here to Puerto Vallarta, whatever. So that's just one way I think people can use it. But again, they got to know. They got to know about it.
Oh yeah. That's why education is the key to that. Wayne, this one is for you.
All right, great stream. When a claim is sitting in the national work queue, the national work queue it's not the VA cloud, but it's just national. It just sits like in a warehouse until it gets disseminated down to a regional office. What factors go into being grabbed by VSR to forward RFD? Look at that. RFD, ready for decision, is literally a place in line. So it doesn't go from the national work queue straight to a VSR. There's a couple other layers. Now, when I rated work in the regional office, management analysts, they would pull it from the work queue. Then they will figure out, okay, it needs to go to a particular team, a coach. And then that coach will say, okay, it goes to a VSR. And if VSR completes the development, it says, yes, it is ready for decision. And then it goes back to the coach. And the coach then sends it to a rating team. And then that coach sends it to a rater as RFD. It's a little bit longer process. Back when it was paper, it was a little bit easier because at VSR, like, yep, Dwayne, here you go. I'm done with this case. It's RFD. You go ahead and rate it. I look at it. Yep, it's good. If not, I send it back to the VSR to complete additional development. But that's the quick version.
Awesome. I know it's like we can answer like any answer is like 30 minutes to an hour. Like,
Oh,
but
yeah, I could have. That was easy. A good 10, 15 minutes because there's different scenarios.
oh yeah.
Okay. Yep. Can I use HLR link to withdraw my HLR claim? HLR went to supplemental for duty to assist, submitted, signed withdrawal form 9 months ago, no result. Okay. A couple of things that you can do. The HR link, I'm assuming you're thinking about the video I just uploaded yesterday, I think. For that, I would say no because you're scheduling an informal conference. Now, ways that you can do it, call VA 8 at 800-827-1000. They will have to complete a VA form 27-0820 report of contact. Basically, you call in and say, hey, I want to withdraw my appeal. If you have multiple conditions, let them know which condition you want to withdraw, or if you want to withdraw all of them, but spell each one out. Also, put on a VA form 21-4138, statement in support of claim. Same thing. I would like to withdraw my claim for X, Y, and Z. Email it. You can fax it or upload it as through Quick Submit. And guess what? I got a video on my YouTube channel explaining how you upload the documents on Quick Submit. That way, by the time before it even gets to an adjudicator or it gets to adjudicator, they can be like, hey, wait a minute, VSR, you supposed to withdraw this claim.
Awesome. Wayne, you have a couple more, but I have more coming up. It's just they're
Mhm.
front loading for you.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
No, this one is yours. Yeah, another one, and then I'll link over to
Okay.
mine.
Decision letter says nothing about re-exams or if conditions are static. Do I need to get the code sheet? In absent putting in a new claim, does the VA send you to re-exam? Okay, I am totally confused because you're saying decision letter says nothing about exams. Are you service connected? If so, the condition is static unless at the bottom in the narrative section, it states since there is a likelihood of improvement. That means the condition is not static and you have a RFE, which stands for routine future exams. Guess what, Mr. Howard? Oh, I'm sorry, or S. Howard. I have a video on my channel explaining that. Go to the channel, do a search for routine future exams or RFE. Find the oldest video because I share a screenshot since there's a likelihood of improvement. If you see that in a narrative, that means that our RVSR thinks that that condition is going to improve and it is not considered static.
Thank you for that. I got a shout out. Thank you, Michael, for
Yep.
supporting the channel. Next question is for me: is that can I get a VA loan and then put the property into a trust? That is a great question. So the VA allows you to purchase a property in the veteran's and or spouse's name. Okay. After you purchase a property in your name, you can then move the property into a trust. It is a great way from a life estate planning purpose to be able to actually pass your VA home loan on to you for your kids. Now, there's a couple of things I want you guys to note with that. And I've talked about this before as well. I think I did a video not too long ago. If a spouse is on the title but not the mortgage, and the veteran passes away, the bank can foreclose within 30 days of finding out that that veteran passed away on the property, unless the spouse refinances the home into their own name. And the reason why, it's all about being able to pay the mortgage. Putting it in a trust, you basically um, the lender wouldn't know that the veteran passed away because it just moves on to the next of kin, right? It moves on whoever the beneficiary was. And then as long as they make all the payments on the property, then they can keep that loan on that property. Now, obviously, there's going to be some challenges if you're trying to reuse it, and a surviving spouse would be the only time that they would be able to use that loan if the veteran passed away from a service connected disability or while on active duty. Just know anytime you're buying a property and then putting the name into another entity, there's going to be a fee. Okay. And it varies widely. Like in Illinois, it's like $125, but in Florida, you might have to pay transfer taxes when you do that. So you might pay a couple grand to be able to do an update. So just know that before you go into home ownership. But if you already own a home, like I'm working on my trust right now, so I can put my property in a trust. And if you look at the VA disability guidelines for all the states, they still let you put it in a trust and still get your exemption for your property taxes. Okay. As long as you're the beneficiary. So there's ways that you can massage it. I 100% recommend doing it. It's a way to protect you and your family.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one's
Of
for you.
90% static, file IU sent back to VBA for information about SSI. Who sent it back? What does that mean? Send back to VBA. Who sent it back? Now you're saying you're 90% static. Why are you going after IU? My question would be, have you called 800-827-1000 and obtained a disability breakdown letter to include the diagnostic codes? Look for any possible increases. Look for any secondary increases because IU is tricky. Like I stated earlier, I did a lot of those claims, denied IU and proposed to reduce. Veteran
Right.
went from 90 to like back down to 40 or 50. And I'm doing a video how to win, but also if anybody is interested, let me know, and I would give a free class to talk about how you win your claim for IU, let me know and I can have my team set it up. Let me know in the comments.
Awesome. Dwayne, you have a veteran membership. What's up with that?
Yeah. Can you elaborate on what you offer with your veterans membership? Sure. So in there, I'm sharing some things that I'm not necessarily sharing on YouTube, topic wise, but shorter videos. We got 22 lessons available right now. We're going to be dropping lessons every month. We got some video testimonials in there. Also, we go live. I'm going live twice a month, and we've already went live twice a month. I record it and I upload it in the membership. It's only available to members. I'm not recording it and put it on YouTube. All right. So each live that I do, the members can leave questions, and I'll answer about 15 minutes of questions, and then I'll get into a block of instructions. And it is awesome. We're going to do an upgrade. So, again, people will be able to schedule an hour with me. That's included in a membership, but you don't have to. Okay. So, there's different subscriptions, and I'm only offering up to 10 slots. That's it. Okay. I hope to see you
Okay.
there. If you got any other questions, send me an email info@kmd89.com.
Well, Annette let us know that we need more people liking the video.
Yeah. Yeah.
We definitely have a lot
62
more viewers
watching.
right now. Yeah, we have like
Yeah.
85 viewers, but we need more likes.
Yeah, I know, right? I know.
I know people tuning in.
Yeah.
Someone asked if you can put the link to your book in the description, and then
Oh,
I will. Say
yeah, I
again.
got it. Yeah. Oh, they were
Yep.
asking me to put a link to my okay. All right. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So
I
you
can
can
do it.
drop a link into the book. Next question is going to be for me: is that can you withdraw equity for home repairs with a VA loan? Only hesitation is my rate is 2.8. I'm assuming 875. So I definitely understand that piece. So the VA doesn't offer what are called HELOCs or HE loans. Okay. HELOC is a home equity line of credit, and a HE loan is a fixed rate second mortgage. Okay, that's really the best way to be able to pull equity out of your property. Now, typically, the way it works, it's a 30-year mortgage for a HELOC. It's a 30-year mortgage. The first 10 years are interest only, and then after those 10 years, it basically becomes a 20-year mortgage. In those first 10 years, you're basically able to take and put back money and make payments as often as you would like or as much as you would like, with a minimum payment of being interest only. So, a good example of something like that is, let's say you have, I don't know, $100,000 in equity in your property, and you want to pull all that money out of your property to do a renovation project or whatever that you want to do. That $100,000, let's just say the interest rate on that is 10%. So you'd be paying 10,000 in interest divided by 12. So you'd be paying like $900 a month for that $100,000. Okay. But you don't have to take all 100,000, right? You could be like, oh, I want to use 5,000 for this, or not use it at all and just have it sit there for 10 years. You might pay a maintenance fee to be able to have that. So what I typically recommend, like, even people I know, is I'll have them shop around at a local credit union, a local bank, and then maybe one or two bigger banks that you might know of. That way, you can get at least a comparison to see who can get you the best rate. I would say for HELOCs and HE loans, I always tell people, like, that's something that you probably won't work with me on. It's just too expensive. A lot of these other banks, they will what they'll do is, like, they make money then on the checking savings, because they try to get you over with all the stuff that you have, and that's how they make their money. To be just blunt and honest with you guys, the process is pretty simple to get a HELOC. You just fill out the application, you submit your documents as you would a normal mortgage, right? Pay stubs, W-2s, bank statements, tax returns. They're going to want to look and make sure that you actually qualify. You VA disability award letter. You're going to provide all that information, and they're going to determine, yes, you qualify. It takes anywhere from 30 to 60 days to get one of these. They typically don't come out to your house to do a home inspection. They use an automated system to be able to do that. Just note that if you do a HELOC, it's a variable rate, so it constantly changes. That's the downside. So you got to be really prepared for that. Uh, you know, rates I think are going to stay somewhat stable, but with an election year coming up, they might drop a little. We'll see how it all unfolds. I'm assuming it's going to be a little bit messy.
But and Dave is saying the right thing because I'm in the process of trying to do something, and I called David, and everything he just explained. So I
I'll
was
let
like,
you know.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I went out and I looked at my credit union, Navy Federal Credit Union, a couple other credit unions, and some banks. Called 5
Yep.
different interest rate for the same product. Navy Federal Credit Union was able to beat my bank by 2%. Okay.
That's yeah.
Um, Pretty much easy process. They answered all the questions. Navy Federal Credit Union, no closing costs. My bank had a closing cost. Then I asked was it prepayment penalty if I
Yep.
pay it off early? My credit union has a penalty if you pay it off within 3 years. Navy Federal Credit Union, no. So I did exactly what Dave did. I shot both. I'm like, hey, they're gonna pull a hard inquiry as long as I do it within what I think you said 30 to
45
45
days.
days.
Yeah,
So I did it.
45 days. Yeah.
Yeah, I did it 48 hours apart, right? So I'm working with both, and I'm like, hey, whoever comes first, gets to the table first.
Yep.
I'm
That's
gonna
all it
go
is.
with. But I had all my documents. And one of the things they wanted to see that was I hadn't closed in a while, but they wanted to see documentation, a homeowner's insurance, or something like that. Who is the lender that's listed on the homeowner's insurance or something like that. Or if you and that's, you know, if it's different than the primary mortgage, if you're doing a second mortgage. So they were, I mean, a lot of good information. But again, hey, I called Dave and I was like, I think you were traveling. I was like, hey, I was like, hey, talk to me. Take me
I
to
know.
school.
And I'll note to Dwayne's comment is that would be like the only time I'd recommend Navy Fed is for their HELOCs, not the regular mortgages, right? It's a whole different
Yeah,
process
yeah,
for that because
yeah.
they're HELOCs, yeah, but like when it comes to that's the thing when you're going through the home buying process, normally just to be brutally honest, is that when realtors see some of these big name banks that target the veterans a lot, the problem is the customer service isn't there. That's why someone asked earlier, like, what's the difference? It's the service that you get, follow up, communication, closing quick. When problems arise, someone picks up the phone, calls, and gets the ball moving on all of that. So yeah, I wouldn't refinance out of a low rate unless the only time I'd recommend it, which we did recently, is a gentleman was able to refinance out of a lower rate but pay off all his bills and still save a couple $1,000s a month. Okay, at that point it makes sense because you can't do a HELOC because their credit requirements are much higher. So
Yeah.
let's keep that in mind.
You know what I think we ought to do, Dave, and everyone that's listening, let us know in the comments. Dave talked about being disciplined when it comes to home buying. I shared my story with him about, I've always owned a home. Well, had homes previously, but I never built a home. And it was the home I'm in now. We built from the ground up. I think let us know, and Dave, let me know if you want to do this. Um, we could do a Zoom and talk about that discipline, things that you could be doing with your own money to set yourself up to get that um, high credit rating. I can share some things that I did, and I got my credit score up in probably about 12 months. It went up about 80 points. If
Yeah.
I had to do it over again. So if that's something you all are interested in, and Dave, I'm pretty sure has more ways to show you how to do it. I think that membership that he's talking about creating, man, that you know uh, is awesome because you could go live and then ask him like, hey, because I did one good thing that I did. I took a loan out of my own money, like 0.001 interest rate, and it was a low amount. And I said, somebody said, "Hey, leave it. You want to establish credit 6 months." So I just got the loan, used that money, just paid it off, paid it every month. And then when that 6 months hit, paid it off. But I didn't make the minimum payment. The
Right.
minimum payment was like $80. I paid 100. And at the end of the 6 months, the remaining balance, I paid it off. When I paid it off, I saw my credit score go up like 15, 20 points.
Yeah. And that's one thing people don't realize is lenders actually look at trending data, meaning like if you make the minimum payment every month and you have high balances, it is a trigger for default, right? So
Yep.
that's why they will reduce your credit score even though you're like, oh, well, my payments are staying the same. I'm not really going utilizing more debt because what the credit companies remember, they have tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people in there. They're looking at everyone's data every day. And so they're correlating. Hey, these people were making the same minimum payment for 18 months and then default began. So that
Mhm.
you're getting put into these groups, and that's how they're reviewing your credit. And
They
so,
call you. They call them buckets. I think Capital One
yeah,
call them bucket,
buckets,
like bucket
buckets,
A,
yeah.
bucket A. Yep. Hmm.
Yep, yeah, so you're being put
Yep.
in these different buckets of default, the risk of that happening, and then that's why they lower your credit to stop you from taking out more credit. That's why it becomes a vicious circle if you're not budgeting all the time.
It-
So, here's a
you know
question
why?
for
Real quick, you know why Capital One would not give me a credit increase? Not that I asked for one. They always ask me about my income because when I charge something, I always pay it off. So they're
you. Yeah,
not making any money off me, and I'm getting those points, and I'll
I
transfer
know.
those points to like American Airlines and stuff. So I'm like, I got them, and they will not give me an increase. But
That
okay,
is fun.
that's another topic, another
Well,
story.
I
But yeah,
they just gave me an increase without me asking for it, and I'm just like, I just pay off my bills every month.
yep,
So I'm like, they're not. I think they're hoping for me to just leave money on there.
slip
Like,
up.
I don't think.
Yeah,
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 no.
slip up one day. DK, hope all is well with you. Can you explain the difference between SMCL for A and attendance and A&A pension in the different or separate requirements, age, income criteria? Woo, that is, I can't get into all the criteria. I don't have it memorized for in the income. Aid, SMCL is aid and attendance. Aid and attendance, one thing you do need. They normally look at if you have a single 100%. They also look at on the 2680 different questions. There's different questions. I call them trick questions. Um, but you have to be one of the requirements. All the conditions have to be due to service connected conditions. I had a vet call me and asked me about it, and I told him that. He's like, "So why should I listen to somebody sitting in a home office in Florida and not my VA primary care?" Because with your VA primary care, you just told me you've been denied 5 times for aid and attendance off the form that they filled out. And the doctor was putting down the conditions that he needed aid and attendance for that were not service connected. Now, um, as it pertains to pension, it is income based. Okay. Um, and Raiders don't do that. That's up to the VSR. But last time, ooh, this has been about 6 years, so you're taking me back. Uh, Poverty threshold. Okay, keep that in mind. So pension is going to be income. You got to do an income worksheet, and they also have aid and attention, aid and attention, spousal aid and attendance. I'm sorry, but
That's all.
another twist. It's that's more research. 15, 20-minute answer.
Just a good follow up, Dave. Hope you're doing well. We are with
Mhm.
100%. This a bit PNT. I'm assuming opens the door for via home loans. So that's something we covered a little bit ago. I just did a video. I think it was just last week about how 100% permanent total disability rating, what you can actually buy with it. Like we mentioned, if you are able to manage debt, you can really buy up to a $400,000 property or up to $1 million multifamily if you have reserves. So that's one big thing. Like if you get your back pay, save that money. Don't go shopping. Don't go on a $10,000 vacation with your friends. Like I see it too often where people, I'm like, what happened to that $60,000? Like what happened? Well, my brother needed some money. He know you ain't getting that money back. You know what I'm saying? Like, stop borrowing people money. You're not getting it back. We should do a whole finance class on that. But yeah, so the big things is really your property tax breaks and not paying private mortgage insurance. And then also just depending on the county you're in, you might be able to get some like homeowner like assistance pay. That is something that can be valid. But if that's your sole income, but because normally the veterans have 100% plus another job, they typically disqualify themselves from any of those home buying programs. So keep that in mind with them. But it's one of the reasons to work towards that disability rating to be able to get that.
Yeah.
Next question is, can I have multiple VA loans? I'm interested in investment properties. So this is what I want a takeaway is. One is you can have unlimited VA home loans. In fact, you can get a VA loan without using any of your entitlement. Okay. There's a way that veterans can actually, you can't buy up a straight up investment property. Like, I'm not going to live there. Like, I live in Chicago, but I'm buying in Tampa. And there's no reason for me to be in Tampa, right? Then it's straight up investment property. But if I am going to live there because I'm PCSing to McDill, that makes sense, right? Then you buy it as a primary. But you can take all VA loans and turn them into investment properties after you buy them. That's one thing. The other thing that I'm actually going to create a whole separate, I think, group for is that there's a lot of veterans out there that want to buy a home, rehab it, and then they can actually refinance it into an VA loan if they have 25% equity and use none of their entitlement. Then what they do is they take that cash, buy another property with a portfolio loan, rehab the property, refinance it into a primary residence, and live there for a year. And there's no minimum time requirement, but it's got to make sense, right? So you can keep moving and flipping properties and refinancing them into VA loans and then turning them to investment properties. And you have unlimited times you can do that because you're capped with your entitlement, right? So it's kind of a complicated question because depending on where you live, you're going to be capped or you're not going to be capped on like how much you're going to be able to get for your VA home loan without a down payment requirement. So definitely options. You can always borrow against the 401k. And the struggle people have that have really low interest rates is like, well, I want to buy another property and let's say use my VA loan, but all my equity is tied into my property. Well, guess what? You can get a HELOC or a HE loan for a down payment on another property from your current property. But you got to think about that ahead of time because you can't just be like taking it like, hey, I'm buying a home next month. I'm going to take it out today.
Yeah.
That would be like occupancy fraud, which you want to stay away from. So this is typically why I recommend, like, if you can get a HELOC, get one as far in advance, even if you don't need the money. Because Dwayne, when you need money, is it easy to get money?
Oh
But
man.
when you don't need it, everybody wants to
Yeah.
give it to you. So
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
just remember that. I always think like, that was crazy. My dad used to say all the time, like, you know what? It actually makes sense because when you're struggling, that's when you want to have
Right.
money.
Well, think about it. You rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
And that's our show, people. I'm just kidding. Yeah, but I mean that's awesome. We have the question. Me and my brother want to buy a property we can both live on. We would buy acreage and add a home. Can we both be on the loan and use his income as verified income also? All right. So this part, I'm not sure if you're talking about if you're just talking using a VA home loan. A veteran and a non-veteran can buy a home together. It's called a joint home loan application. So they both have to be able to qualify with income for the property. Now, technically, the VA loan allows for non-occupied co-borrowers. What that means is that let's say I want to buy a place and I'm going to live in it, but Dwayne is going to co-sign for me. Technically, that can happen with a VA loan, but it would require a 12.5% down payment for the non-veteran. Unless you own the property and then you want to add somebody on. I'm not even gonna go down that road. But because because like there's so many cool things you can do. It's just you have to first wrap yourself around the basic information. But yes, you can you can use your VA loan to buy land and build a house 100% financing. It's definitely possible to do it. You start tacking on other people, it just adds a layer of complexity. Veteran, non-veteran. Well, it's a veteran, it's still a joint home loan application. If it's a spouse, it's pretty straightforward. And there's really no acreage minimum either. And yes, they're going to verify all the income. So you still have to be able to go through that process. This question is for you.
If I was seen for injury in service and it is in my SDRs, that stands for service treatment records. Is it automatic direct service connection, DSC? No. Or do I need to prove it? For direct service connection, you need three elements: current diagnosis, link in service, which you have, and a nexus. So you file a claim. Let's back up. Hopefully you have a copy of those STRs. That's what we tell people: get a copy, get that CD, because a lot of times VA employees do not look, or if you have a lot of pages, they miss it. Okay. So you can say, hey, I'm claiming service connection for a back condition. I was treated and diagnosed on this date, April 2nd, 2000, whatever, or 19, whatever. Please schedule me for a CMP exam to obtain a medical opinion. And I'm sorry, medical opinion rationale. You get to the CMP exam, you know why you hurt your back, you know how you hurt your back. You got to explain that to the examiner, and the examiner is going to have to provide a diagnosis and a medical opinion. Boom. And I got videos on my channel explaining the 5 ways of service connection, with DSC is one of them, direct service connection.
That's awesome. And that says, please give a class on how to apply for TDIU. Do you have that in your membership course?
No, we do not, because I just talked about it today. So we got a video going up. We'll do it next month before I go on vacation, Annette. And everybody, it'll be free. And I do other things every month for free, and people do not sign up. It's like if veterans don't pay for it, they don't have any skin in the game, and they don't want to show up. So I am on some other platforms, some other for nonprofits where I'm a subject matter expert answering questions. But my team and I will get to working on that and put that together and promote it. It will be free, but I'm only doing 1 hour.
That's awesome. Next question is a loaded question.
Can you give your opinion? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm using Navy Federal Credit Union and Veterans United as quality lenders. I don't know.
Take the second one first, Dave. I want to hear that.
Man, I get so heated when I it's just like I don't even know I should talk right now, but it's okay. Listen. I'm trying to just phrase my words correctly here. All right.
Coming.
Let's just be, I'm going to shoot it again, brutally honest. And the reason my opinions don't come from, I mean, they're not my opinions. These are facts. Okay. And the reason why I say they're facts is because we answer questions all the time from veterans that are out there. Okay. That we look at their loan estimates. We look at the time frames of closings, and you shouldn't be using, I would say, either one of these to buy a home. Okay. Veterans United charges crazy amount in fees. I look at their stuff all the time. It is sickening to me how much they charge veterans to use a VA home loan. And I always point out, look at their marketing. How great is their marketing? You're paying for that service. Navy Fed, on the flip side, I mostly run into Navy Fed issues. It's more about processing and overcoming hurdles, right? Veterans United charges crazy amount. We have to fix a lot of their stuff. Clients get denied all the time. We're taking them and approving them. Navy Fed side, yeah, the rates are actually not that bad. To be honest, they're not that bad. The challenge when you're doing a regular purchase is going to be communication, winning a contract with them, and then closing at a very rapid pace. Plus, it goes into the experience bucket. Because normally, if somebody originates mortgages, like I would never work for a Navy Fed. I have too experience, right? Like I work for a smaller bank where we have huge flexibility to be able to help veterans, not just put them like, if you don't fit this little box, we can't help you. Or this is out of my jurisdiction, and then I can't walk you through it. And Dwayne, that's the challenge for a lot of folks is they're not always looking. Most people want guidance, right? Because they want to be able to be helped through a transaction. And so that's my experience with both these, but definitely not Veterans United.
Maybe you ought to do a live just on how products that you offer, so
Yeah,
people because I hear you talk about. I mean, I know I talk to you, but other
yeah,
veterans, if they say, okay, well, Dave, you're telling me not to go with Navy Federal, I get it because they have. You said the key word flexibility. So if you don't have something, you may be able to say, okay, we could substitute for this. But I
right.
think veterans need to know what you offer the bank, what you offer,
Yeah,
so they have another option,
for sure. Yeah, I
So,
think I'm gonna
yeah.
start doing more live events like on a weekly basis, like during lunchtime or something like that. I know they got those
Mhm.
vertical ones now. So definitely spend a little bit more time and just kind of answer questions and put on some of these events that, it will
Yeah.
make life a lot more interesting. Someone mentioned, yeah, definitely interested in hearing more credit tips.
Yeah.
So definitely we'll start putting
W
that out there, at least on the channel. So it's static because it's tough sometimes to be able to do, unless you're in a one-on-one setting, right? To kind of answer all the questions that
we
people
could
have
we could
on.
do we could do a Zoom, and we just advertising it. Whoever show up, 1 hour, you know, let me know, and we can do it.
Yeah, definitely. Um,
Zero
dang.
6%, thanks to you and your book. There it is. And see, that's what I tell people. Small investment, probably got a discount code. Watch the videos. There it is. Thanks for the support to the book too, Ken.
That's awesome. Another good question is how much reserves do you need to purchase a 600 plus VA home loan? So technically, the VA doesn't require any reserves, which I think is crazy. If you want to buy a multifamily property, then you would be required to have reserves. And let me see if I can pull up my account here. And what I'll do, I mean, it should be a little bit easier. I have a whole video on calculating VA disability and reserves, just depending on like what you qualify for. So check out the channel and just check out the most like a couple most recent videos on how to purchase a property with 100% permanent and total. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, how much can you get? But remember, one thing I'll tell you is never disqualify yourself. Always talk to a professional to be able to tell you. And when I say professional, I'm not talking about who we talked about earlier because you can reach out to me. Well, you're gonna get that tender love and care and walk you through it to be like, yeah, this is what you can and can't do. Because we see lenders approve things all the time. They're like clients like, well, I'm working with them because they approved me. They go under contract and the deal dies. And I'm like,
Man.
we told you, like, you gotta put the time in to learn how the whole system works. And if it seems too good or easy, it's too good or easy. So just remember that when you're going through that. We had a good question here. Is there a time when having a high credit score affects getting a loan?
Mm.
100% of the time. That's a good question. So, in a high rate and high fee and high cost environment, the number one thing that you can do to get the best terms is a high interest rate. So this is something that I teach with my credit course, credit and budgeting course. If you want to get a 21-month 0% interest rate credit card, do you think credit card companies want someone that keeps missing all their payments or someone that's made all their payments on time and has a very low utilization rate on their credit? And they want to purchase something because like they want to do a renovation. It's going to be the latter, right? They're going to want to go for the highest. So the higher your credit score, the less fees you have and the better interest rates you have. The worse your credit, now, you're basically on the high credit side, lenders are competing for your business. On the low credit side, you're trying to get lenders to give you money and prove that you can actually pay your bills. So it has a significant impact on your qualification, one, and then two, just being able to go through that.
Wow. Good
Yeah.
information.
Yeah. So we'll definitely be able to. Yeah, I'm not sure if I answered this one, but yeah, it's gonna depend highly on how many reserves you need. So Norris just says, "Thank you, Mr. Kimball. Can I hire you?" Yeah.
Yep, just left him a message.
Oh,
Definitely go out
nice.
to my website www.kmd89.com. The email, once you look at those services, info@kmd89.com. It's the link is in the comment section. Excuse me. Then we can get you set up from there.
Yeah, Dwayne, you want to close us out? We're wrapped up for the day. Thanks everyone
Oh,
for
that's
joining
it.
us.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't forget the membership. Put the membership in there. Let us know if you want us to put together uh, a credit. What do we call it, Dave? Like a credit saving tips or something like that.
The credit
I,
and budgeting class, like
yeah,
setting yourself up for success, because
right.
that's really where it starts. Like a lot of people think like it's like it's so yeah, if people manage money better, they would be in such a better position.
Oh man,
It's mind blowing. When people are like
yeah,
I can't save, if you look at your credit card if you look at your statement and you're spending $15 a day going to McDonald's and then another 20
yeah,
bucks a day doing this, all of that adds up, right? I'm not saying everyone's perfect, but
yeah,
you definitely have to position yourself in a good spot.
yeah.
So
So I
yeah,
think
people are
we could.
saying yes to the credit cards.
Yeah, we figure out a time and plus I can share some of the tips I did to get my credit score up quick.
Yeah.
When I say quick, I'm not talking about like 30 days. I'm talking like like a year. It wasn't
Yeah.
like, 30, it wasn't no 2 weeks and, that's it. But
Yeah.
yeah, it definitely helped.
Patience is key to this whole process. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining us. And then we're gonna be doing a live stream soon. We'll catch you soon. Thank
All
you.
right.